Okay. Emergency pod. No games, just a crazy trade. The long-awaited Kevin Durant gets traded once again to the Houston Rockets. We will get into it all. My name is Shlomo Stark,
My name is Levi Jacob.
and this is the Daily Basketball Recap. Hey, what a trade. Kevin Durant gets traded from the Phoenix Suns to the Houston Rockets for Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the 10th pick of the 2025 draft, and 5 second-round picks. Kevin Durant, it seems like, has not been on a happy basketball team, happy on a basketball team in the last 9 years.
I think also on a happy basketball team, to be fair. Like
I
all
don't know, the
I
Warriors were pretty happy. Like they won 2 titles. So I'm
mean, the
saying
classic
it's hard
classic
to say they weren't
Draymond,
happy.
KD yelling at each
Oh,
other.
the third year they weren't happy. But I'm saying I'm not sure he was ever really happy there. Um, the the trade is interesting, and we'll talk about all the angles of it. On the one hand, uh, the Suns didn't get that much for one of the best scorers of my lifetime, maybe the best scorer of my lifetime. On the other hand, all he wants to do is leave teams. So why would you pay a lot for him? So we'll get into both sides of that. But if you're my initial thoughts are if you're Phoenix, my guess is you called 29 teams and this was your best offer. And if you're Houston, you're like, this isn't giving away that much, and we're adding Kevin Durant. Like, I'm not even sure we want to be in the Jalen Green business. I don't know if we want another rookie to decide that he's like, really good at, and another guy who thinks that he should have the ball at the end of games. Like maybe we need is just a veteran leader, and we're right there with the other teams. We were a 2 seed this year. Maybe we're a Kevin Durant away from title contending, and if we don't give away that much, why don't we just go for it? So I really hear both sides. Let's get your thoughts.
I actually don't I don't really like the trade much uh for the Suns. Like I don't really understand what they get out of it.
What
There's
if what if there were no better offers though?
I find it there was like reports about everything is hearsay basically, but there's reports about how the Spurs didn't want to add certain people to the trade. That being,
Mm-hmm.
I think they mentioned specifically they didn't want to trade the number 2 pick, and they didn't want to trade Stefan Castle. Like there's like 2 pieces they didn't want to add to it. Um, I still feel like if they were able to make some sort of mismatch of assets that the Spurs had, I feel like it might have been a better return. Like
We don't know what they were offering. It sounded like Miami was the second choice, the second place anyway from
if they also
Shams.
didn't want to, they didn't want to give. I saw like before that there was, like reports.
That's what I'm saying is you could rip Phoenix all you want. I think people are like, no, thank you. First of all, he said I only want Houston, San Antonio, or Miami.
Well,
So
apparently,
that only
New York was in the
means
mix, but they didn't want him.
so no, but I'm saying that's what Durant reportedly wanted. Those 3 teams. I'm saying I think it sounded like every team in the league was in the mix. I heard Memphis was in the mix. But let's talk. Let's use Shams as the
Yeah,
single
yeah.
source of truth, even though it might not be. But um, he said he wanted to go to Houston, Miami, or San Antonio. So when he does that, what he does is Phoenix could still go to the 27 other teams, but they're going to offer a lot less because KD doesn't plan on, doesn't want to be there. And as we've seen, history has shown us in the last 9 years, it is not, no matter how good you are, including the Warriors, if Kevin Durant is not enjoying your basketball team, it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
So now you've gone to three teams. Now, these three teams don't want to overpay for Durant because he's been unhappy and because he's old. He gets injured. And he also, why should they overpay? There's a 1 in 3 chance you have to trade it to him anyway. So I think as much as you want to rip Phoenix, like, are these assets worth Kevin Durant? No. I think that's obvious. Like Kevin Durant's talent. Did they have a choice? I'm not sure. What you could argue is I don't think you could argue because I think if they had a better option with the Spurs, they would have taken it. I don't think they're like, we like the Rockets offer more than the Spurs offer.
Yeah.
I think that they took the best offer out there. What my case would be maybe is you keep Durant, and no one's done this. And I wonder why. I thought the Nets would do it, but no one's just been like, Kevin Durant, I don't care that you're unhappy. So sit, ruin your legacy by sitting. But the bottom line is every time you wake up, you score 20 without thinking about it. So like if I was Phoenix, I would do that before I'd say I think I could have gotten something else from something more from someone else. Maybe I then keep him at the trade deadline. Maybe at the trade deadline, now that more teams are going to make a run, they'll give a bigger offer for Durant. But they just seem to be they wanted out of the Kevin Durant
That's
business.
something. That's something that's confusing to me. Is I just feel like at that point, how much like how much better or worse is this team? A and B, like they just don't have much in the way of valuable assets either. Like I think that if you were gonna pick two players out of the players that would be more difficult to trade, like Dillon Brooks is a very team specific player. Not every team is gonna want Dillon Brooks, and Jalen Green for sure is that case. So like even the players that like if you want
I
to
don't
say
know.
get
I
picks
don't
there,
know. I don't know. I don't know about that. The last thing you
why?
said, because I don't know if Jalen Green's a team specific. I actually think he might be like great. Like he's like Jalen Green is like you are 100% the second best player on the team. Like he's never had that. He's always shown like bits and pieces of like, but I think he thought he was the best Rocket always. And I think it could be interesting to be like Devin Booker. This is Devin Booker's team. You're the Klay Thompson. You're the Kyrie Irving. I'm talking about Kyrie Irving on LeBron's teams. You're like, let's go. Like, be
I
a
don't know if they're gonna
scorer.
keep him though.
So let's see. I'm
Because
saying
there was like a lot of reports of them trying to shop him around because they apparently didn't want him.
already. I listen. I'm using Shams as the single source of truth. He tweeted, "The Suns land a prolific young scorer in Jalen Green. How dynamic could Devin Booker and Green be in the same backcourt?" So if we're using Shams as the single source of truth, it sounds like they're keeping him. It's too hard to trust all these reports. It was reported that Jalen Brown was traded to the Spurs. Like I can't do these reports like that are
No,
being
but I thought
reported. Like we just got to use Shams as like the single source. Otherwise, we're gonna be like if we're talking about reports. Like I think the Knicks just hired a coach and it's LeBron James. Like he's player coach. Like it's just
not a bad call.
like
Not a bad
it'd
call.
be great. I would love if LeBron coached the Knicks, but the like I was just saying, I think we should not like just bring up random reports and just stick with Shams as the single source of truth because everything is just rumors. I don't trust anybody. I'll be honest with you. I don't trust anything.
I hear it. I hear it.
Like I get like there's a few other people. I trust Bobby Marks. I trust what's his name? Windhorst. Like there's a few people who I like trust, but like Shams is my main guy right
So
now.
I think the reason I'm looking for is I think that Shams was the one that reported that, but either way, it doesn't make a difference now. Um, I think on the Rockets end, this is exactly what they needed, and they somehow also got rid of kind of like all of their liability, like all of their inconsistencies in player form are now off of their team between Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks. And I actually like Dillon Brooks. Um, I mean, not that I don't like Jalen Green, but I think that Dillon Brooks is actually a good player. Um, but now there's just like there's less uncertainty, but there's also I think a little bit less physicality. Like Dillon Brooks brings a level of physicality when he plays. So maybe
Here, look at this. Look at this line from Shams. The Suns land a 23-year-old scorer for a high-powered backcourt with Kevin Durant, a tough 3 and D player, and now have 3 firsts and 8 seconds to use in trades. So according to Shams, they're trying to like they think that Booker and Brooks and Green are going to be pieces, and they actually might not even draft this 10th pick, but they're going to use these picks to trade for more. So like the Suns are not done. If we're going by Shams, so I actually like Jalen Green. I think he was on the wrong team. I think that the Rockets didn't use him properly because it was like I think he's the type of guy that needs to know his role. Like sometimes the guys who don't know their role are you just score 30 or 13 a night. Paul George was scoring was scoring 30 a night when he knew his role. When he was paired with Kawhi, he started becoming like a 30-13 guy. I think some people are like that. Like if you know you need to be the best player, Jalen Green was better on the Rockets when he was supposed to be the best player when he was a rookie. But once like they had Şengün and it's just like, what is my role? Yeah, I think like here it's clear what your role is. You're Devin Booker's like awesome shooting guard.
Yeah.
Let's go. So I'm kind of excited about that. And I think it's just time to have the Kevin Durant conversation. I feel like Bill Simmons saying that. It's just a Bill Simmons line. He's my least favorite superstar. It's just like he is. I don't like him. I feel bad because we had Shlomo Sprung on a couple weeks ago, and he works for him. But I hated when he went to the Warriors in 2016 after the Warriors were 73-9, beat him in the Western Conference Finals. He then was being a baby about like being the guy there, and him and Draymond got into a fight, and then went to the Nets. Secretly, I was mad that they didn't go to the Knicks, but he went to the Nets and teamed up with Kyrie and Harden, was able to do nothing there, and said, "I'm unhappy here," even though he created the situation that made him unhappy. Then he was traded from the Nets to the Suns, where he's basically like forced them to get Bradley Beal, which was one of the worst trades ever. Getting Bradley Beal with that no trade clause completely failed in Phoenix. Is like, you know what? I'm unhappy in Phoenix too. And it's like, dude, like maybe just
Well,
like
I thought how
I might get canceled, but like shut up and dribble. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like just stop whining about the team you're on and just like play. Like him and James Harden have done this, but Kevin Durant deserves more flack for it because he's better than James Harden.
I thought the story was that he only found out that the Suns were trying to trade him after they approached him about the Golden State Warriors thing mid-season. That was what I understood from it. I think that he wasn't thinking about leaving.
Why do the Suns want to trade him? He's Kevin Durant.
I think also because the team wasn't working. What else are they going to do? They're going to trade Devin Booker? No, he's the cornerstone. He wants to be there. They're going to keep him there. Who else on the team can
Fine. We'll switch I'm not sure. I don't remember the reporting, and I'm not going to go through old Shams tweets, probably Woj at the time. So let's just say, and he failed at Phoenix.
Yeah, no, 100 times.
So let's just use that instead of saying he asked out of Phoenix.
Fine.
Let's say
Fair.
He completely failed in Phoenix.
Fair.
So he's a complete failure in the last, no, not 9 years because he won 2 titles with Warriors. Last 7 years, complete failure on the Nets and the Suns and the end of the Warriors saga. Complete failure. And he's just so talented that you can't count him out. Like that's the thing with him. He's always one of the best basketball players on the court when he's playing. He really is. But I don't like him. And I was like really hoping the Knicks wouldn't get him. I knew if they would, I would talk myself into him because he's so good at ball. I'm like, I don't want this in my life. Like, I'm good. He talks online. He's just like, I don't like you don't want him for your franchise. You just don't.
Yeah, where I differ from you is I'm not willing to say that he's failed per se. What I will say is that I think
You
that
think he's succeeded?
I think it depends on what success looks like. Like meaning he's
winning, maybe championships, maybe
championships is one person per year can do, like meaning like is LeBron a loser the last 5 years?
Yeah, he's failed 100%.
Okay. So, meaning that puts basically in the league almost what, like 95% of players are failures every
Correct, but
year.
he's also failed as a teammate.
So that's the other part of it that I like. I think that he's somebody who chronically, and I think you see it a little bit also with LeBron, which is funny. Chronically with star players, what they want next to them is not always what they need next to them. And remember when he went to Brooklyn, he was like, now I'll have like a proper killer next to me, a shot taker, shot maker, all this nonsense, whatever. And then like, oh, you know what? Add James Harden also. And I was like, why? Why do you do that? And for those whatever it was, seven
No,
games,
no, no, you're wrong. They were great together. They just never played. But when
right?
they played, they were like the best offense ever.
But I'm
The
saying when
reason why
you,
was because when they were together is one of the best things the NBA has ever seen. They just didn't play because Harden and Kyrie got hurt.
but I'm saying, or they had political issues, whatever. But
Oh
um,
yeah, Kyrie also was an anti-mask. But the point is, like that
it
was the
wasn't a
right.
bad
I
team.
think it was the right call,
But I'm
but
saying
it just like
it's
didn't
not
work
in a
out for other
vacuum.
reasons.
It's not in a vacuum. Like it's one of those classic things in regards to like how everyone like always talks about like Michael Beasley, like oh one on one Michael Beasley's like no one could ever take him. Yeah,
I've never heard anyone say that, but
are
I
you joking?
love this.
It's like a big like among player thing. It's like a very big thing. Um,
The players have never talked to me about it.
um,
I've never hung out with the players and be like, oh, yo, what do you think of Michael Beasley? I actually met one player, Michael Red, and he didn't bring up Michael Beasley. He
no,
brought up
okay.
LeBron, Iverson, and Vince Carter.
He was Michael
I
Red.
asked him who the hardest people to defend were, and he said those three.
It's like a range also. That's fun. Also, Michael Red was like
Yeah,
he was a bucket back in the day.
I know it was really cool. I actually wanted I actually messaged him on LinkedIn and said like, hey, remember me? Like, want to come on the pod? He totally ignored me. But
And something
it
else.
was yeah, it was pretty cool. We had Bisley at a venture capital. It was pretty awesome. He was investing in Israeli companies. It was great. That was a great
Um,
moment.
one thing I want to mention though that I'm sure that everybody else is also going to talk about. I think very honestly, this could be just because I've seen it in so many places recently, and I'm gonna explain the concept as we go. This could be a flashpoint moment for the San Antonio Spurs. What I mean by that is I I think that they're a feared team moving forward into their future. Obviously for the price that San Antonio wasn't willing to pay, which was either the two pick um Stefan Castle, I think they were right to keep those players. That being said, if they were somehow able to get Kevin Durant on this team with what they currently have, and they had to give up Keldon Johnson, I mean, listen, again, I don't know what deals were really floated out there.
I don't I just don't think they were that was I think Phoenix was I mean this Rockets were like sorry, the Suns were like, we're good. We don't want Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, and your 2028 or whatever they were off. Meaning, I think they wanted Castle or they wanted the second pick. The Spurs were like, not for Kevin Durant, and they're like, then we're moving on. Like, I think you're making it much more in your head than like that. Like, I don't know why you're making like, why couldn't they get like a mashup?
Because I think
Where's
that
that
even with
coming
those,
from?
because I think that even I'm saying even with the pieces that are left then on the board, essentially, I think it's more of a compelling offer that they can put together for Kevin Durant than what they got from the Suns. Sorry,
Ooh, make the
from the Rockets.
I don't think so. I think you probably don't like Jalen Green then.
No, listen, he has
Jalen
potential.
Green is better than any Spur available. Available.
That's
Not available. I'm saying not any Spur. Any
right
Spur
that
available.
they had available, right? But I'm saying I
So
think
if
that
you look at that as best player in the draft, like Bruno, I was thinking the best asset available.
listen, if you're hoping that Jalen Green can one day average 25 points and play solid defense,
What do the Spurs have that's better than Jalen Green in the 10th pick of this draft?
I think if you put together, so listen, because also the Spurs have other people. They have the Hawks picks also. I think that if you put together a couple first round picks, if you put Devin Vassell in a trade
I
and
I
Keldon
think that
Johnson,
nah, because I think they wanted Jalen Green. I think they wanted the best player. I think they wanted a hero Green or Castle on the second pick. And I think Green was the best they could get because I think they wanted someone. I think Booker is a big factor, and they couldn't just do a trade for picks with Booker. So,
But I
like,
don't
I
think.
think
Yeah, yeah,
like that was a big thing. Shams reported Booker was very, very involved with this trade, and I think this may have been I heard Russillo say this. I don't know if it was like quoting Shams or he just heard it, but Booker does not did like as happy as Booker is with the Suns and wants to win a championship there. He's not down for a rebuild.
yeah,
Like he's
yeah.
not down for just picks. So I'm saying so we need to get an asset. You need to get an asset for Kevin Durant. And now Kevin Durant's narrowed it down to Miami, um, San Antonio, and Houston. And Jalen Green is the best asset available. Available. I'm saying Hero's better, but they couldn't. They weren't. You
Yeah.
weren't getting KD for Hero. Um, Castle, Harper, or whatever. The second pick, Wemby, obviously, De'Aaron Fox. Those are better assets than Jalen Green, but they're not on the table. So like, yeah, you could throw in 4 picks, Keldon Johnson and Vassell, which looks better on paper, like that Desmond Bane trade, but then Booker's unhappy.
But
Because what are we doing here?
because I just feel like,
This is Booker's prime. Booker's a year or two away from his
but
prime,
they
in
also
theory.
just got players that they can't like, meaning they kind of just spread out Kevin Durant's contract over other like
No,
now.
they said they got Jalen Green, they got Dillon Brooks, both two players who in theory could compete in a playoff team, and they got picks that they want to trade.
Yeah, I'm just not in love with the talent level of what they got back. Like, meaning again, I think that Jalen Green has
Who's the
potential.
other options? Like I'm not in love with it either, but you're comparing it to Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell and picks. They
I'm
don't
saying
want picks.
right, but I'm saying with Devin
Devin
Vassell,
Vassell is not better than Jalen Green.
he's not better, but he's more of a proven quantity than Jalen Green is, like more consistently. He can put up.
But if you're Devin Booker and you're like, who do you want, Jalen Green or Devin Vassell? He's like, obviously Jalen Green.
So then maybe
So
maybe
what
it's a
are we talking
situation.
about here?
So what I'm saying is that maybe it's a situation of the same thing with Kevin Durant, which is like if I'm somebody who's trying to, I want to put together a team that's going to be more competitive, right? I'm not choosing Jalen Green because it's the same thing with DeAndre Ayton, essentially, where it's like some games he might be great and some games he might suck. And
Yeah, but I think Jalen Green's on the wrong team. I think that's why I said I started with this, but we got here eventually. The reason you think they should have traded with Spurs is because you don't believe in Jalen Green. That's what it comes down to. Because I think and I think other people think this too. I think Jalen Green was on the wrong team. I think he was on the right team when he was a rookie. And then they just were too good at drafting. And they have so many young guys with like Thompson and like even like Whitmore doesn't even play. Like they just have Parker or Smith. I forgot which one it is, but the I think it's Smith, Jabari Smith. But like they're just like Tara Eason, Şengün, of course. Like I think slowly but surely Green became less relevant in this Rockets roster, but he's actually a really, really, really good asset. And I think the reason you think you don't like this trade is because you just don't like Jalen Green as much as the Suns do.
I maybe 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 I can more come to be okay with that. I just have a hard time with like this, like the way that he plays is not good habits that existed from when he was drafted that were like concerns. And if it's like in the philosophy of a player to have not the best attitude and you're putting him in Phoenix, like he was already next to Dillon Brooks. Like what Devin Booker's going to be? I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I would I
That's what I'm
love
saying. You don't believe in the guy. That is exactly yeah.
I he just would like I want to see him prove it more. But I just feel like yeah.
You're saying the same thing over and over again. You're not a Jalen Green guy. You're just saying it in different words. You're like, no, I wouldn't say I'm not Jalen Green. I would just say that he's had issues since he was drafted. Right. You're not a Jalen Green guy because you've had issues with him since he was drafted. That's fine. You're allowed to not be a Jalen Green guy.
No, but
Just
it's not that. Meaning I think that's what you're understanding from what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that like philosophically as a team, if you're trying to make the team better around Devin Booker, I'm just somebody who I don't think that I would take as big of a risk as Jalen Green, even if he is a good player. I'm saying that right now,
but if you were more of a Jalen Green guy, then you would not think that. like me or like others or like Shams. Shams is very high on him right now. I'm very high on him right now. You are not. You're just working around on the saying that exact thing. You're like, he doesn't work philosophically, but if he was better, it would. But if he fit this team more, it would. You just don't like Jalen Green for the Suns. And that's okay. And I don't know why you're not owning it.
Because I don't think that's what it is. But it's fine. We can agree to disagree about this. It's fine.
I hear. Put on a poll. Let our two people listen. That was the daily basketball recap. I don't know how many minutes it was. I think we were like 30 minutes.
Whatever it is.
But it was an emergency pod. I want to thank you, Levi, for coming in the middle of the night and doing this emergency pod with me, for producing the where you just the audio. Thank you for that. I want to apologize to the Jalen Green camp because Levi hates you guys. Maybe Jalen Green would come on the pod, just like when Bill Simmons. Remember when him and Bill Simmons got into a fight? Because Bill Simmons was like, he said like he used profanity about Jalen Green as like a joke, but then it got aggregated, and then he had Jalen Green on the podcast. Remember that? So maybe that'll happen to us. Aggregators, come at us, Jalen Green. I love you. I've always believed in you, and I'd love to have you on the pod. I don't think Levi feels the same. I want to thank you, Max, for producing the video, and also for pushing us to do this podcast tonight, and for just always making sure we're doing the best podcast possible. And I want to thank you for listening.